Hey everybody, we are live. It is Saturday, no, Sunday actually. So a special series of live streams that I'll be doing. And this is oil painting for airbrush artists. And there's a real need for this video because I feel that uh, oil painters lack a lot of the advantages that airbrush artists have. And so, with that being said, I definitely want to share that because you don't realize, you airbrush artists out there, the potential to go into a new medium, but having such a head start on other artists who basically have been artists who, oil painters who don't know all the advantages and skills that you bring to the table that will make for an even better airbrush or oil painting with the flair of airbrushing. So many advantages we have, such as the ability and knowledge of making your own stencils, handmade stencils, hand-drawn stencils, the ability to get hard edges by using freehand shields, right? Those are things that is lost on someone just oil painting. So I really wanted to touch on all the advantages that we have as oil painters or airbrush artists going into oil paint. So I'm very excited to begin this series, and I think it's something that definitely an option if you haven't thought about it. I think if you follow my lead, it'll be a very nice transition. I'm not trying to make airbrush artists 100% oil painters, but just open up a different area of creativity for you. I think that is really important. So you're going to see as I'm working that a lot of the techniques in the beginning are the same as how I start my airbrush painting. I work on the same paper. I work with the same Createx products. I work with the same Badger Extreme Patriot Arrow, and we're just going to go and just work on it as normal. But the paradigm shift happens once the underpainting with the ink, my India ink and the white, once that is done, then we'll go ahead and shift to oil painting mode. And we'll be using, for our underpainting in color, the Createx Tim Gore's Lifeline, which are quite amazing. And so that is very, very cool. So there's a lot to unpack here, but in the beginning it's going to look very familiar to what I usually do. So what I want to do now is to, hey Anthony, how are you, my friend? Great to see you. Tony, nice to see you, sir. How's everything? So I'm so glad you're here, sir. And Tony, I really think this is, I'm so glad you are joining the live stream, because I think you would do really amazing taking your already really incredible skills in airbrush and using them in this new medium. I really think it's gonna just open up a lot of creativity for you and just enhance your work and your expression. So I'm so glad you're here. So thank you for hanging out, Mr. Tony. Okay, so here we go. Now, get my glasses. So we have a little bit of a glare, so I do apologize. We have overhead lights. But so just like when I do my airbrush India ink, and also my Createx color airbrush paintings, I'm going to start with the illustration, the 50/50 illustration white by Createx. Make sure I get this lined up. And what I'm doing is covering everything but her face because I want to keep from any kind of overspray. Again, these skills that we have are, you know, we take for granted, but in the oil painting realm, it could really be great. Tony, don't worry. You know, it's like riding a bike. Tony says he has to find his mojo. He hasn't painted for over a year. Don't worry, you'll get right back on that bike, and it'll be like you picked up where you left off. So if I can do anything to encourage you to, you know, start your re-journey, please let me know. Mike, how's it going? Great to see you. So glad you're here, Mike. And Mike, I made a new set of the Airbrush India inks, which I'll be sending out shortly for you. And so that's cool. So unfortunately, Mike, I moved, so I wasn't able to get them out to you. But thank you so much for the amazing super chat, my friend. How are you doing? How's your commissions going? Really loving your black and white portraits. Just fantastic. And I'm so glad you're here because, Mike, this could open up a whole new world for you. So, I'm really glad you're here. This is something brand new. I think it's just brand new all over the place. You know, I think I'm touching on something that hasn't been touched on, which is oil painting for airbrush artists. You have all these skills, Mike, and if you apply that to oil painting, oh my God, I think the sky's the limit for you guys. Oh, you just got back from Iowa. How was your trip? And how's the art world in Iowa? You know, what's happening out there creative-wise? I'd love to hear. All right, so now just like when I'm working in Airbrush India inks and the Createx Wicked colors, I'm going to start with white. And I always like starting with the 50/50 illustration white. Go ahead and mix that up really well. I might have to open up a new bottle because this one is really on. Let me see. Do I have another illustration white? Now the illustration white is really crucial. Okay, here's a new bottle. Let me see. Now guys, I just moved, so a lot of things are kind of in boxes. So we're just going to see if I could find my brand new illustration white. Let's see, is this it? That's illustration base. Here we go. This is illustration opaque white, but that will work for us just as well. So I'm going to open up a fresh bottle here. And, you know, I'm so glad that, whoop, got some white on me. So glad I'm working with the great people over at Createx. It's the most amazing paint company for airbrush artists. And I do anything to get the word out how great they are. So what I like to do is I like to coat the bottom of my 1 ounce cup. And what a beautiful flow this is. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'll put some water 1:1. I kind of like it to be, you know, a little on the thin side, build up those lights as opposed to just put them on there right away. So I like using a palette knife, and then I will mix it, I don't know, maybe a good 40 seconds, you know. It's better to overmix than undermix. Really assimilate that really well. So every week, I don't know if it's going to be on a Saturday or a Sunday, but I will record this. This project of working on an oil painting from an airbrush artist's point of view. Now we're going to be using paintbrushes when we come in with the oil paint, but all the preliminary work is going to be done with airbrush and airbrush techniques. So very exciting. I know it's very new. I mean, it may have been done before, but I think this is very new to Facebook and YouTube. So I'm very happy to bring this to your attention. So there are so many advantages to begin with the airbrush to create these beautiful transparent techniques, but then we can come in and get amazing opacity with the oil paint. So here we go in my Extreme Patriot Arrow, customized by myself. And Tony says, I've not seen this concept before, Tim. Can't wait to see how it develops. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm probably going to continue the series after this one. It's just a natural, like, development from you know, getting to the point where you're doing, you know, great airbrush paintings. And believe me, oil paint takes no, I mean, airbrush doesn't take second fiddle to any airbrush. Airbrush doesn't take second fiddle to any other medium, but I think the skills that we have as airbrush artists will really give us that competitive edge. And that's what I want us to have. And you know, with oil painting, there's a lot more. So I'm going to be about 4 inches away. So with working in oils, you'll quicker get gallery representation. You'll be able to sell your work for more as far as fine art goes. And I'm just very lightly coating. And oh, it might help to turn on my compressor. What do you think, guys? I was wondering why I was getting incredible control. You know, when your airbrush is, your compressor is really low on PSI, and you're like, man, I'm getting amazing control. So why come in with the white at first? Because twofold, it kind of helps to make your underpainting three-dimensional, but what it also does, it enables you, when you glaze over this with color, to create this amazing glow. And that's the whole thing of the old masters. They used the underpainting to create, you know, glazes, transparent on top of transparent darker colors on top of lighter colors. And that's how, you know, the fresco paintings were done. They were initially done with plaster, white plaster, and then on top of that they would glaze color on it. And that's why those paintings are still so vibrant, those Michelangelo's ceiling, Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. I'm about 4 inches away. And right now, I'm just concentrating on her face. And the further I'm away, is really great, because whether you're working in Airbrush India inks or Createx or what have you, the further you're away, the lighter the spray and the more even the spray. And as I'm going, I'm kind of plowing the field, getting rid of pencil lines that are no longer needed. Make sure this is over here. So by making this skin a lot lighter, we have much more wiggle room to do darker glazes of color, and that's the whole goal. And so since I'm seeming to have really good control, I'm going to come in and hit the white of her eyes. Now you might say, you know, why going in the white of her eyes? Her eyes, the whites of her eyes are really not white. But the thing is, we can always glaze it a darker color, but we can only glaze on a lighter surface, and that's kind of what we're kind of gearing towards. And it's great, you know, the control is there, and then I'll be able to erase this. And I'm going to come in with the stencils for the eyes, nose, and mouth. And it's going to be really just a lot of control. Okay, great. So what I want to do is I'm going to move away from here, and I'm going to go in to her hands and her arms and the other fleshly areas here. But I wanted to have really good control on the face. I'm going to come back with the eyes, nose, and mouth stencil. Okay, and as you can see, it's all like working it, you know, working the system. The system that we already established so well with oil painting. Oh, what surface? The same exact surface, Anthony, that we work with, you know, the color line paper by Canson or the Canford cardstock. So here's the game plan, is that we will work on the underpainting with Airbrush India ink, the white illustration paint. Once we're happy with that, then we're going to go over it. We're going to do a shellac surface. We're going to hit that with one thin layer of transparent shellac, and then we're going to do some underpainting with the Bloodline by Createx. And once that's done, we are going to be so perfectly set up that the oil painting is just going to fall into place. So it's going to be so cool. So very familiar. Almost everything that we use for our standard airbrush painting is going to be utilized for the oil painting, which is really exciting. So I'm glad I'm able to share that with you guys. Okay, so here I'm going to cover the background just like if it was a regular airbrush painting. Just cover this background. Cody, how's it going? Great to see you. Oh, that's so Cody is, so thank you, Cody, for coming and hanging out. So basically, I'm not spraying it through the airbrush, but I'm using the airbrush materials and as an underpainting and as a stepping off into working with regular brush techniques. So yeah, if I would love to spray oil paints because, you know, that's what I that's what I studied for 8 years in New York City, oil painting. So if I was able to airbrush oil paints, that would be great, but it's just too much of a health hazard. But you're going to see, Cody, this is going to open up a whole new world to us all because we're working with the best of airbrush and the best of oil to create a painting that's going to take our work to that next level. And oh, you use oil paints through everything but use a gas mask, which is really wow. So how did that so yeah, so you really and I would stay away from any cadmiums or lead-based paints. That would be good. That is amazing, Cody. I can't wait to see some of the work you've done with that. That's so cool. Okay, so we're gonna come into our hands and but yeah, I'm so excited you're here, Cody and Tony and Mr. Mike. I'm so glad you guys are here because you guys are on the cusp of something different. And I'm so glad because this is just going to give your work that edge. You already work so hard in airbrush, right? So why not, you know, try a more, a little more of a traditional medium with it, but using all the great paint companies and all the great techniques that you learned and really do something that takes your creativity to actually another level. Hey, what's up, Willie? How's it going? Great to see you. I'm so glad you're here. How's everything going? How's life over there in Massachusetts? That is so great. Willie has been with the live streams. He's old school, so glad to see you, sir. Okay, so again, I'm going to be about 4 inches away. And I'm just going to paint the lights of her hands. And the 1 second rule is always crucial. Always keep your head in the game, Even if it just seems like something so simple. If you look for 3 seconds, then you paint for 3 seconds, it's going to be much better. Now this finger's in shadow, so you see how the 1 second rule really helps us. And Mike says, Tim, what was the shellac paper you were using once, and what are the advantages of it? Great question. So, I like the Colorline paper by Canson because it's, well, you want to get the one that is 184 pounds. It's nice and thick. And this way, when you're doing airbrush on it, it's not going to buckle or anything like that. So, what I like doing, even with my Createx Wicked paintings, is I'll do the airbrush, I'll do the line drawing, then the airbrush underpainting. And then once the underpainting is done, I'll do a light coat of the shellac. And I'm going to show you guys the shellac as soon as I locate it. It's over here. Me and a student just did it for an airbrush painting. And this is the Zinsler, let me just focus this. Zinsler Bullseye Transparent Shellac. And I use a foam brush and I do a very thin coat. Just dip it into maybe 20% of it and then just lightly do a light coat, let it sit, and you get a surface that will allow you to do unlimited layers of airbrush paint, Createx, oil paint. It's really a wonderful, it seals it. Now, it's not a new technique. This has been going on for hundreds of years, just people don't use it anymore. So let me show you if I have it. So right here is something that I'm working on with a student right now. We're working on this painting. This is going to be a Createx painting. So we did the airbrush underpainting, airbrush India ink, and the white illustration 50/50. And then once we were done, we did a thin coat of shellac, and now we can come in and do as many layers of the Wicked paint without having any kind of warping or anything like that. So I really do like it. Oh, the stream was breaking up. I'm glad it's better. And so I really like it. It adds, and it's more of a traditional way of painting. I like using traditional materials. So anything I can find that the old masters used, I like trying it. And I've been very happy because I like using this paper. And it's much cheaper. I can cut it to any size. And I just feel like I have more control when I work with paper as opposed to, well, paper that I'm used to working with, which is the color line paper. And so here's a really good thing. So we have these beautiful, I'm just going to make this really light. We have these beautiful candle lights, and I'm going to use the airbrush to get the glow that I couldn't get with just oil painting alone. And I'm getting rid of the pencil lines before. See that beautiful glow I'm getting from the candle. And it's just really nicely mapping things out for us. So I really think this is going to be something great for airbrush artists like yourselves, and also to bring the world of oil paint and oil painters to the world of airbrush. Now you guys might say, like, you know, well, what advantage is that of ours? Well, the thing is, they'll see just how hard it is and difficult what it is we do, and we'll get more credibility for, and that's my goal, we'll get more credibility for the skills that we possess and that our work is fine art. And so that's like a win-win, I think. A win for definitely a win for all of the airbrush artists, and a win for the oil painters out there. Look at the glow I'm getting already. So the advantages that we have are already being manifested right now, which is just so exciting. So the best of airbrush, the best of oil painting, because, you know, with oil painting you can just cover things really, really well. Hey, what's going on? How are you, Mr. Bill? I'm so glad you're here. How you feeling, sir? So Bill has a great channel out there. Really love his stuff. I'm so glad you're here, sir. And I know he's always busy with Christmas, always here with like lots of Christmas, always busy with Christmas commissions. And he does great work, so. And let's see, Mike says, I love the beginning highlight stage. Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And Willie says, airbrush has always been the red-headed stepchild. Yes. And you know what? My goal is to turn that around by seeing how we all need each other. The airbrush artists need the oil painters need the airbrush artists to do the work that they're capable of. Because this is something that you just can't replicate very easily in oils or any other medium. So why not take that and harness it, right? And so it's going to be a jam. Yep, he says he got to finish 1 and paint 3 more. Wow, you can do it. You always pull it off. Yes, Tony D, definitely. Tony D is really great. He actually had an article in Airbrush Step by Step magazine of a honeybee, which was out of this world. So that was great. If you haven't checked it out, do you recall what episode or issue that was, Tony? And so now what's interesting is we have her beautiful shirt, but I do have a shirt stencil that I'm going to utilize. But let's first kind of do her breast area. Now the further I'm away, the softer my spray, right? And the further you're away, the lighter the spray. So remember that. So when you want that really light gradated, don't try and do it from close up. Let the airbrush work on it. So what you're going to do is you're just going to be further away and you're just going to smooth out the spray really nicely. Just let the airbrush do the hard work, you know? Oh, that's a good question. Do you have a website or something, Tony? And of course, this may seem a little bit archaic, but we're kind of like chess players. Angela, how are you? Great to see you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. Yes, so this is something very different, very new bringing to the table, and I think every airbrush artist really needs to see this. Honestly, I know that's a bold statement, but airbrush artists can't afford not to see this and to kind of have this opportunity to expand your creativity, right? And so that really is very cool. So now what I want to do is, since I have this the seemingly like white pastel, the white illustration 50/50 by Createx, we're going to work on all of the candles right now. And so this is like, we are thinking like 10 moves ahead, right? 10 moves ahead. This foam brush is what I use to apply when I'm ready the Zinsler transparent shellac onto the paper. Now the paper has to be 184 pounds. Anything less, and you're going to have some difficulties you don't want, you know? So, and Ava is fantastic and sassy. That is so great. What a cute kid, and thank God she's feeling better. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. So now we're going to look at our reference, and we have some. So what I want to do is I don't want to be dealing with the pencil lines. So even though we're going to be going, we have oil paint and everything to go over things, I still want to treat this as, you know, exact and beautiful as I would handle as the airbrush, our airbrush techniques are. We have some beautiful techniques that we can really utilize, and let's go to town utilizing that. So that is so cool. So Tony has a Facebook page and an Instagram page, Tony D Airbrush Art. Yes, definitely check that out. Very cool on Instagram. Oh, a Posca paint set. Oh, those are cool. Love that. That is great. Yeah, the little ones, it's our duty to, fan the flame of their inspiration, the little ones most importantly, because there's so much out there so sad that just dampens their creativity and the way they see the world is so wonderful. And I try to do that with my adult students and do that with myself. I mean, the world is so practical that it will kill all the inspiration. So, my job as an educator is to really make sure that I at least give it a fighting chance. Oh, airbrush gear. That is so cool. Giga. That is a cute name. Giga. And okay, so here goes. I'm going to start on this side. And I'm going to go with really beautiful light. This is called bokeh. And what you're seeing is the reflection of the shutter speed. Fraction of the actual shutter. It's a round shutter. So you can see that the camera that took a picture of this painting is a high-end camera. Oh, cool. So Mr. Mike checked out Tony's work. Yes, it is awesome. I agree. 10 grandkids. Wow. That is cool. And you see how we have that ability to do things no other medium can, to create translucency. And what a great advantage that we have. And you know what? You want advantages. That's the most important thing. You want advantages. If you have an advantage, exploit it. Take it to the next level, And Willie says he already has one he'll offer a teacher. Very cool. Anthony says, if anyone is thinking about getting a one-on-one tuition from Tim, his advice would be go for it. His work improved. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, Tony. It was so much fun working with you. We had a great time. And Tony pushed me to do the pattern, the tweed pattern on David Bowie, and I was like, there's no way we're gonna do this, and we did it together and it came out great. Hey Bobby, how's it going? Great to see you, my friend. How are you? So this is a special oil painting for airbrush artists, just to show that we can use all the skills that we have in oil paints, in airbrush, to have a distinct advantage when working in oils. And I'm going to do a demonstration of oils, which is going to be a lot of fun. And as you can see on this side, I'm actually doing some of the lights of the candle. So that's really wild. So right here. What a great head start. And that's what we're doing. We're like chess. We're setting up our chess pieces for attack. And see, we're getting all of those lights as an underpainting. And using the stencils and everything. Doing okay, Ruff. Doing okay, Mr. Bobby. I appreciate you. That is so cool. And Bill says, but definitely when they ask for art stuff, it's like, I'll get them whatever. Definitely, You definitely got to fan their flame. You don't want to get too wet, which I just did. but that's okay. You just got to make sure we don't get overzealous. Just going to lightly hit some of these kind of yellowish colors. Remember, if it's a little bit lighter, that just means we can glaze a darker color to create a really nice glow. Very great group we have today. I'm glad I'm doing this. It's different. I think it's something that is lacking in the airbrush world, and so that's why I want to really start this live stream. It's going to be once a week, and I'm not sure exactly the direction if I'm going to continue this, but for this one painting I'm going to do it all the way to the end. Now, you know, life is kind of crazy, so it might be a Saturday or Sunday, but I'll definitely let you guys know beforehand. So I still have the white, which I'm very happy with, but now let's give our painting some structure that is going to carry over into our oil painting stage. What we do in the beginning really sets the stage for what we're going to do later in the painting. So we have all these techniques, the magnets, the metal, the underpainting, the stencils, the freehand shields. You don't realize like all the amazing skills that you all have in your back pocket. And I'm just here to just let you guys know that you could do this with acrylic painting and anything. Ah, Willie says, great, he'll be here. That means a lot to me, sir. Thank you. And so we're going to just hit her eyes right there. And I'm going to pull out, actually, I have the Extreme Patriot 105 in the other room. I'll be right back. How can we not like and love this airbrush, the Extreme Patriot 105? I like it when I'm doing larger paintings because it has a larger cup, but it still has the great detail of the customized Extreme Patriot arrow. Now, I moved, so I haven't used this airbrush in a little bit, so we're going to see how this goes. We'll keep our fingers crossed. I like to, when I'm doing this, is dilute my paint, my detail mixture 1:1. So just put a little bit here and then add. Now you can add 4011 to this and it works really well. So if you ever want to try it with 4011, that works great as well. I'll tell you, the Createx mediums have been such a godsend to me, and the paint, of course. All right, so I mixed that up really well, 1:1. Super, super light, just incredible control. Oh, Mike, thank you so much. So a second super chat, my friend. Ah, I'm so glad you, thank you for your generosity, my friend. And watch your mailbox. They should be coming soon. So, and I have something else I'm going to get for you as well. So thank you so much, Mike. You take care. And keep doing that amazing work, okay? It inspires me, and I know countless others. So that is amazing. Okay, so I don't put too much in there, just a little. And so I'm going to test this out because this was last time I used it was before I moved. So let's see if it made the travels. And Bill says, and Mr. Silva says, nice, Mike, that's so cool. And Mr. Bill says, without spilling too much info, Createx has another edition coming soon. Wow, I can't wait for that. That I'm looking forward to. So I have really great control with this. And I'm going to zoom in so we can see, because we're only working on the eyes. And let's see. Bobby says, "Spill it, Bill, spill it." And Bill says he thinks a lot of people are gonna love it. What's not to love with Createx? It's the one company that has us in mind as airbrush artists, right? So, and really, they're really forthcoming when you call them. They're so helpful. And you know, we as airbrush artists really should support them because they're supporting us, as opposed to, let's say, Golden, which really we're an afterthought. So I stopped supporting Golden because I'm not supporting somebody who, a company that treats airbrush artists as afterthoughts. I'm going to support Createx because they have our best interests at heart. And it's just a great paint all around, right? And oh, and Mr. Bill says he would, but Dennis may never send him pre-release product to test again. Oh, that's true, right? You definitely. And what can he says, what I can spill, it's not super secret. Oh, cool. And Bill says, well, I'll keep an eye on the channel for the release. Oh, very cool. Yes, Bill's channel, The Airspace, which is great. Lots of great information on airbrushes and paint and technique. So he's doing a great job over there. So what I'm doing is using this stencil to create structure that is going to help me throughout the whole painting process, which is really great. So notice I do one coat, let it dry, and then come back. You can always go darker, so don't worry about going too light. Now you can get overzealous, and then all of a sudden what you did was you stained the paper. A lot of different things could happen. So a lot easier going darker than ever having to lighten up and erase. I'm not much of an erase person when it comes to airbrushing. I'd rather go another route, but that's just my own technique. Oh, paint branded under other names. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, Mr. Bill. Definitely. So I'm going to lift this up and we're going to see what we have. I have another one which has her lips, and we're going to see how that looks. Again, we're talking about structure and having a wonderful underpainting that's going to help our oil painting, right? Because we're doing things that only airbrush artists can do, and that's exciting. Okay, let's lift this up and see what we have. See how all of a sudden we have more structure, right? Of her beautiful eyes. So that's great. Now, I'm going to take this stencil. Now I have the white. I can go back in with the white. But you never want to go, when you're using India ink, you never want to put the white on top of it, because then you're going to get what is called blue shift. Actually, I didn't realize that I do have a stencil here for her shirt. So let's keep that here. And the shirt is just her strap. Now I already did a lot of the whites, but I didn't do the shirt. See, an oil painter would be like, what? You know, they have no idea the skills that we have. No idea. And so why don't we shine with all the hard work we've done over the years and use our competitive advantage, right? Use it. Don't let it go, you know. definitely you want to make sure that we are definitely doing that. Let me see if I can move this aside a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to go right on the shirt. Let me put another magnet here. Just the magnet techniques that all us airbrush use is something that will kind of make them scratch their head. But, you know, we can learn from them and they can learn from us. That kind of discourse is what I'm looking for. So you see here I wasn't thinking and I went in with the Airbrush India ink and that wasn't good. So I got to keep my head in the game. It was only lightly, so that's why lightly is always best. Now I'm going to come in with the Extreme Patriot Arrow, which has the white mixture in there by Createx. Bring this down. And so we can maintain that shape of the original drawing. Same thing over here. And just keep our head in the game. And let's see. Okay, so we do have the stencils. The stencil was actually for the candles on the bottom, which worked out really well. And let's see. Do you do a review on the burger? What burger is that? That's funny. I'm not a big fan of the digital focus. Interesting. Okay, so I'm not sure what the burger is, but that's cool. That's what happens when I put my head down. I think we're talking about opaque projectors. Is that correct? Digital projectors? That is very cool. So Bill is a great go-to guy for all things airbrush. There we go. So, like, it's all mapping out, right? That's all it is. It's just the mapping out of the different shapes that is going to keep us having those beautiful edges. Now I have one here that I find, and as you can see, I did this with candies. This was a Jaguar that I did with candies, so that was fun. So yes, so many different things that Createx offers, and their candies are really a lot of fun. Let's see. Okay, here's the one that has her lips. And we're going to go ahead and pull this over. The small little stencils I keep in an envelope. And let's see. Tony says, did you cut the acetate shield using a Cameo? Yes, a Cameo 4, my friend. Cameo 3s will work. So that's cool too. And so definitely, so the Cameo 4 is really a great tool. But I hand draw my stencils. Not better or worse, just what works for me, right? So I want to line this up. I think that's lined up pretty well. This is great because I do have hints of her nostrils. Again, we're after structure, right? Oh, it was a video about types of projectors. Oh, very cool. Yes. Now, her upper and lower lip are very close in value, right? So, I'm just going to kind of peel this one back. Like so. Okay, here goes nothing, and we want to have our ink on this one here. And that is the 105. We'll hit that nostril here and here. And we're going to remove this. Well, one more shot at this nostril. Just one more shot. We'll remove this. Again, it's all about structure. That's it. There we go. And we'll put in the form shadow of the lower lip. And a little bit over here. So now we have the golden opportunity to start working on the large form shadow of her nose and the cast shadow onto her face. Here we go. So you see these little changes are really helping, which is really great. And now I'm just going to do some freehand airbrushing here. So I'm about 3.5 to 4 inches. I'm not doing big detail. So this is a great opportunity for me to get some really soft gradations. Not worrying about any blotchiness. There we go. And you can see just the amount of stability or structure that we get when we're using the stencils and using the airbrush, which there is no medium on earth that gets the hard edges and soft edges like airbrush. So again, advantages if we use that for other mediums. And Mr. Silva says, Tim, is that airbrush one of your custom? Yes. So these are my 2 custom airbrushes, the Extreme Patriot Arrow and Extreme Patriot 105. That's a great 1-2 punch, 0.3 needle nozzle combination. You can see the amount of detail that I'm able to get with these things. The fact that if you have the Extreme Patriot 105, you can work larger with a larger cup. And you see how I work with both of them. So it's better to have 105 and Extreme Patriot Arrow, because you can tell, okay, this is what I'm working in the ink, and this is the white today. So very cool. And so you can do these by hand too. So going back to Tony's question, you can go and work on these by hand very easily. You just put this through any program and have them all the same size. And you can definitely cut out a face only and eyes only. So that would work too, Tony. So that's great. Oh, okay. So great to see you, Tony. Always amazing to catch up. And if you have any questions, you want to go down this route, if you want to know what kind of oil paints to get that are inexpensive but artist quality, you let me know. So I'm so glad to see you, sir. So it's so weird to do a live stream, or different to do a live stream. Yes, they're both, so Bobby asked if both of the airbrushes were 0.3. They are. What's really great about all of these airbrushes that you can get a 0.5 needle nozzle combination and a 0.8, I think, needle nozzle combination, which is really great. So if you want to work fast and furious and large, you can do that. I'm just going to hit this dark here. Now I do have a hair only stencil, but you know, sometimes, you know, you just want to go in there and freehand it. And now we'll zoom in on her eyes and show you how I do some detail. See if I can focus a little bit better. There we go. And if you haven't used Pure Ref, I highly recommend it. And you just lower your air pressure at the pack valve when you're doing tighter detail. And you know, just have fun. It's the same. It's all the same. It's all connected, you know. And so just continue as normal as you would work in Airbrush. But in back of the mind, you know that this is going to be an oil painting. Again, I'm going to talk about the advantages of oil painting. Why should you? Well, it's something new. You haven't tried it. If you haven't tried it, you might be phenomenal at it. So why not give it a shot? Number two, it opens up a whole new market for you. Whatever you were charging for your airbrush paintings, you can almost double it. You can double it and get the prices, because the hierarchy in price of an oil painting as opposed to an acrylic painting is double. So, Mr. Johnson, how are you? Great to see you. I'm so glad you're here. So cool. Mr. Roy, all the way from Jersey. That is so great. So, yeah, so this is the first hour. I'm going to try and do 2 hours, and we're just going to, this is going to look very similar to what I did on Wednesday, you know, the process of working in the underpainting for an oil painting and a Createx Wicked painting are very similar, but it will change very quickly. Let's see here. So I'm actually going to try and do at least 2 live streams. This live stream and the Wednesday night. And my goal is 3 live streams a week. And that's going to be wild. But I think there's room for that. And I think you guys would love that. You know, to have that kind of availability of free instruction. Here we go. And all right, so I think that's pretty good thus far. Now let's go ahead and see if we can work on her arms and everything. And we're going to use the reverse silhouette stencil here. And always got to make sure we put them back, you know, because then we're going to like, where is that stencil? I can't find it. So if we put it back, we'll be able to find it. Let's see. See if I can find that. So here it is. So this basically is the silhouette. So we'll be able to get some really beautiful hard edges here. It's all about the edges in the beginning. It's all about the edges, especially in the arms and everything like that. Get that beautiful hard edge that is very realistic, you know? So very cool. Let's see. We'll just move this over here. So you guys like the idea of maybe 2, maybe 3 live streams a week, huh? That would be great. Oh, Mr. Bill has to go and get back to work with all his commissions. I know you're going to be great. So love this stuff. Can't wait to see your paintings posted and your new videos. So keep on a lookout for the Airspace. Great channel for you guys and girls. I know you're going to learn so much from him if you haven't already learned so much, you know. So very cool. All right, so I have my stencils here and we're going to work on the contour of her arm. What's really cool is that right here on this edge we have a beautiful white highlight. And why not hit that now, right? Let's see. We'll make this happen. I know if I put in the work, you guys will respond. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in the work, everybody. That's important. So we have this spaghetti strap. Let's see if I can freehand it. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. Just little dagger strokes. There we go. A little bit off, but that's okay, right? Not. Who said we have to be perfect, right? So, very cool. Okay, so we put that highlight in. You can see if we have any other highlights on her. Nope, that's about the only one. Now we can come back in with the Extreme Patriot 105 with the diluted detail mixture. And let's use our freehand shield for this. We have a beautiful cast shadow of her arm onto her breast area. There we go. Can you do an oil painting without all this? Of course. Is it going to be as good? No. So that's the exciting part. So let's use all the great information, all the great... You guys and girls are so good at the airbrush, you just don't know how good you are. But when you apply this to your, oil painting, you're just going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe how good you are. That's what you're going to say. And my job is to open up this world to you. Because I was trained for 8 years in New York City how to be an oil painter before I ever touched an airbrush. And I worked for many years independently. So I know, and I have done oil painting many actually, with my newfound experience, newfound in the last 12 years, newfound experience with the airbrush. See how I'm getting these beautiful edges, everybody. And for us, we're used to it. But this edge in the oil painting world, unheard of. They have to work so hard for it. And look what we do. Squirt, squirt, and we have a beautiful edge. So you have such great techniques, everybody. So now let's use them to shine. Here's her clavicle as it comes down. I don't want to, the thing is when you paint women, you don't want to, even though her clavicle is really strong, you don't want to go ahead and paint that clavicle so strong. It's just the women don't like it, you know, and we're trying to paint their femininity, their grace, and having a pronounced clavicle kind of goes against that. So be always keep your always when you're painting a woman, always try and keep your values a lot closer than you would if you were painting a man, you know? Think of how the movie poster of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, how that really made him look cool, but on a woman it would not make her look cool. It would make her look harsh. So that's just little portrait things, you know. Ah, thank you, Cody. Cody says that's a great tip. Yeah, women and men, uh, many differences when we paint them. You know, we have to. It's a different world when we paint women as opposed to men. And that's just, you know, true history, you know. And we have this beautiful half tone here. And you see now already we haven't even gone close to, you know, the middle part or even in the first 10%, and already we're getting some beautiful value here. Beautiful light and dark patterns. Remember, when we're painting, we're designing, right? So I talked about the movie poster of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and that's what we want to think. We want to think, how do I say this? We want to think design, right? So we want to design our painting, and you know, having a blank background is fine and great, and it's great, but if we can incorporate a background, it would be even better. We can create even a stronger impact and even say more about the subject than we did before. So that's an advantage we don't want to give away. So here we have some little wrinkles here. We can just establish them here just a little bit. Little folds. Okay, so here we have a beautiful shadow along the contour of her arm here. So the deltoid is right here, and then going into the tricep. And so on this arm, just a little bit of a gradation. There we go. And since we're here, let's see if we can zoom in and do a little bit of detail on her fingers. Okay. There we go, little dagger strokes. Now the oil painters, they're going to resist this, right? And that's great. That's more success for us. But the progressive oil painters, they're going to say, wow, this is something I need in my painting. But that's okay, you know? This is for you guys and girls who are airbrush artists. They want to join the bandwagon, more the merrier. They can't beat us, they can join us, right? That's how I look at it. And of course we have this finger. So we have the ability with a freehand shield right here to protect the light of the pinky. And then we could come out perpendicular, not parallel. We can hit this dark right there. And then the beautiful crease right here. And then the beautiful crease of the index finger. Light shading here. And you'd be surprised, you know, we can start hitting the subtlety of the shadows and the form of the fingers and everything from the very beginning. We don't have to wait. I remember one time I was painting in Harvey's class, and I was, you know, painting the forms and everything, and I was going to come in with the white pastel, and he's like, "What are you waiting for? Go after it." And that was something that always stuck with me is, you know, what am I waiting for? Go after it now, right? That's what's really important, just to go after it. Now, I do have a stencil for the face, but it really is soft edge. So you want to ask yourself, do I need that hard edge for the stencil? And you don't. So if it's soft edge, be about 3.5 inches away. And just kind of hit that. And now her hand is starting to come up. We can get rid of some of these, you know, kind of harsh pencil lines that kind of go against the elegance of our female model. Let that airbrush do the soft blending, right? Further you're away, the larger the spray. The larger the spray, the more soft and gradated it is. And now you can see by a lot of times the adjacent shape will describe the shape more than the shape itself. And you see the dark of her hair will really describe the hand even better than the hand itself. What a head start we have, right? So why go in with India ink? Why not go straight in with Createx? Because I feel the India ink is so erasable that I can get rid of every single pencil line and then come in with those great Createx paints, right? Because the India ink, although it's waterproof, the pencil lines kind of come up to the top and you're able to erase it as, you know, as if there was nothing on top of it, which is great. It's all about cleanliness, right? And that's what I think. And let's see here. I'll just come over here. Okay. Now I'm really getting happy with this. Now I do have a hair only stencil, but before I do that, there are some form shadows right here on this arm. I want to make sure I get that. This is all hair, which is great. And we have some form shadow here, right over here. Oh, wow. Willie says she's already looking great. Thanks, Willie. Mr. Travis, how's it going? Great to see you. Oh, thank you. And Angela says she's beautiful. Thank you. So does Travis and Willie. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. Yes. Very elegant lady. And that's my goal, is to accentuate, or don't even have to accentuate, but to bring out that beauty, right? That's my goal. I better do it, or I'd be in big trouble. And right here, you know, having that stencil for the background, covering the background, I'm going to have a beautiful contour that's going to have the conviction and the handwriting, so to speak, of my original line drawing. So that's what we want. And so it's hopefully all comes together. So you can see that, you know, oh, let's go ahead and work on her philtrum. And that's always fun. That's always something that I really concentrate on because it's so easy to lose. You can lose that philtrum in a heartbeat, and then that could be a point of angst for you. So that's something I concentrate on. And then the crease between the upper and lower lip. See the advantages we have as airbrush artists? Why would we give that up? And then we have some form shadow here. And I think there's some pencil line here. There we go. Put that in. And a little bit of form shadow here. And we can erase this. So those pencil lines are like training wheels, right? So you don't take the training wheels too early, you'll drive into a mailbox. Like that episode of Frasier. There we go. And of course, shadow of the upper lip there. And the beautiful little bit of a Mona Lisa smile on the corner of her lips there. Things that you want to capture. There we go. And now you have the orbicularis oris, which covers the mental fat compartment right there. And it's always a straight line here. Always look for that. Now that you know, you're going to see it everywhere, every time you paint the portrait. All right, so, okay, so now we could let that dry before I erase. And let's put the hair only stencil so we can really get that, her hair really accentuated. So that's going to be great. And so the thing is, you can get bold with putting the dark in without having to worry about overspray. That's what it's all about, you know? And look at the cleanliness of it, right? It's super clean, and that's what we want. We want that super clarity. So now we're looking for the hair only stencil. And I do have the covering of the hair, but let's see. Once again, this is the Jaguar, done with candies, and I did some varnish on him. That was cool. Okay, back to the job at hand, Tim. Let's go. Hair only. Let's see. And here we go. Like I said, this is going to give me a little more carte blanche to get a little bold with applying the darks of the hair. So it's, for me, it's all about getting the large tonal patterns, the design, getting that design set so I have the structure to work on. So everything is covered except for her hair. And so now I have a rather free-flowing. Now I'm going to stay away from the edge because she does have a lot of flyaway hair and stuff like that. So I'll stay away from the edge. And let's go ahead and make this happen. So my goal is 2 live streams a week. This one on the weekend, not sure if it's going to be on Friday or Saturday. And of course the Wednesday night live stream. So kind of giving double for the holidays, you know, at least for the holidays double. And then my real goal is 3 live streams for you all per week. And hopefully it's not too much. It's something that You all can watch on record and everything like that, so I'm happy to do that. Plus, I love talking to you all, so it's an excuse to hang out with everybody. So that's basically it. Okay, so now we'll come over here. All right, so right here, I'm just going to make sure I get this correct. Just going to put this here. And remember, the stencils are always a guide. You don't have to be exact with them. So it's not like you can't move them around. If it makes for a better painting, definitely do it. Let's see, put this right here, just over a little bit. So your most important consideration is the contour of the face, right? You get that down, the other part is just hair. And then we'll come here. And again, I'm just looking for the large tonal values, right? That's, oh, great. Willie says it's good to be back here. I'm so glad you're here, sir. Yeah. Always love your comments and on the live stream. Willie is a good, long-standing friend of the channel. See me in the days of 1 or 2 people in the background. That was it. Again, this is just tonal structure, and if you feel it's not right, don't worry, reposition it, right? If you don't feel good about it, there's a reason for it. So I'm just going to move my magnets around, you know, and let's see, right here. That's a little better, I think. At least I have the contours of her face. Perfect. And that's the thing. I don't want to lose that, right? Definitely don't want to lose the contours of her face. Anything else, you know, you can always adjust hair, but contours of the face, you work so hard to get that, to draw it, to use the stencil and the white mixture and then the detail mixture. You don't want to go ahead and, you know, lose that. That would not be, you know, be counterproductive to all the hard work you already did. Okay, so here's something interesting on her hand here. Sometimes it's hard to get those magnets up. Let's get this hand situated. Okay, happy with that. As happy as I'm gonna be, as I'm going to be, right? Put that right there. A lot of times, if you don't have the magnet close to the edge, you won't get the contour. Let's see. More on this edge here. Again, the magnet will keep the contour straight. Good 4 inches away unless you're doing detail, because you want that smooth blend. Over by the hairline, I'm not worried about it. By her scalp, I'll do that more freehand. Just working on these large shapes. Steve Leahy said, which is a great tip, if you don't want any billowing, you know, go straight down or head on, because then you're not off to the side. So if you haven't checked out Steve Leahy's channel, highly recommend it. Incredible artist, very generous in what he gives out, information. And I haven't had too many live streams of Steve, but I didn't come away with all this knowledge. So definitely check them out. Monday nights at 6 on Facebook, and then Thursdays at 1. Also, Scott McKay is just incredible. Very generous artist. And they're fellow live streamers, right? And I think there's something special about live streams. You all can ask questions. It's about community. You just meet other artists. So that's why I like doing live streams so much. So again, I'm just working on the large dark shapes here. Getting the design down, right? That's what it's all about. It's all about the design. Not so much value, right? Because this is going to be far away from the final value. Put this close to the edge. So it's much darker here. So I can use my freehand shield to create this really wonderful edge here. Now I know the holidays, I think Christmas is next week. I think it falls on a Monday, so we're in good shape. Nice dark right here. Kind of set up that tonal value of the hair. And when I lift this up, it's going to look really good. Just keep my head in the game, you know, make sure that I'm paying attention to the 1 second rule. Try not to go too much to the edge because that's going to create hard edges that I'm just going to have to fix later, because it's a lot of flyaway hair and stuff like that on the edges. So let's create less work for ourselves. I can hit the negative shape around her hand, which is nice. Does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So definitely I am giving one-on-one courses where we'll go over exactly how we start, you know, how to create the line drawing, how to create stencils from that line drawing. You know, and the line drawing is yours, so teach you how to do that. So if that interests you, I do have several slots open right away. So let me know if that's something that you're interested in. And I love teaching one-on-one courses. And also I have online courses, and there's a link in the description for that. And of course I sell the airbrushes. I do all this because, you know, I want you guys to guys and girls to hit the ground running with your airbrush journey. And I want to set you all up for success. That's important to me. And just dusting over, like it looks like I'm not doing anything, but just the act of dusting is going to create the edges and the shape. So let's see what we have. Dun dun dun. There we go. Now we may have to make repairs. That's not something that's unheard of. But right now I'm really thinking that we're on the right track, right? We're going in the right direction. And so now we have the hair pretty much set up to come in and, you know, work darker. So, okay, so we do have some room for some white highlights in her hair here. Right over here. Really nice. And then right over here. And then just a little bit right here. And we can just kind of indicate it, right? Let's see. Oh, the head in the game, right? So this is my India ink. So I got to pick up the Extreme Patriot Arrow that has the Createx 50/50 illustration white. Drew Blair's. Also, Drew Blair is an amazing painter. If you don't know about him, uh, you know, he has those great classes and everything. So highly recommend Mr. Drew Blair. Okay, test spray, always. Make sure there's no tip dry. Let's get ready to rumble. Okay, so see how by hitting these highlights right here, just a simple thing, but gives us real direction on where we want to go. That could have been bad, definitely, Willie. Guys, I'm going to take a bathroom break. I'll be right back. If you can, don't go away, but if you have things to do, that's cool. But I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for waiting, guys and girls. Let's see. So, still 6 people. Very cool. So that's great. Okay, so now we're looking at her, and maybe we'll do some freehand airbrushing on her hair a little bit. Maybe some, so we're going to go back to our India ink airbrush here, and we're going to work on just a little bit of deformed shadows in her face. So when we come back next week, what we're going to do is I'm going to finish up the underpainting using this technique. I'm going to have it shellacked. So here's a question for you guys, you know, that I think you guys might be interested. Do you want to see the shellac process? It's very simple, or I could just have it shellacked and I can start coming in with the Createx, the Bloodline by Tim Gore, the Lifeline. So I think I'm going to shellac it off camera. It's very simple, because if I shellac it, I can't do any work for 24 hours. So I don't think that would be good. So let's see. And I'm going to be doing erasing, but again, we don't want to get rid of our training wheels. So very tricky on where the side plane of her nose and then the cast shadow. So the side plane is a little bit darker. I mean, the cast shadow is a little bit darker, closer to the light source, and then it kind of blends out. So we have to get that right. There we go. And work on this right here. Now I don't want to get as dark as my picture, but I do want to get the tonal fabric, so to speak. And looking for those anatomical landmarks. And then we're going to slowly get rid of the pencil lines. So now I can do some freehand airbrushing in her hair, just to kind of come back with a little more artistic flair, getting more draftsmanship. A little bit of cast shadow right here. And then I'm going to increase my distance to like 6 inches. I'm going to hit some of the halftone on her forehead. Remember, the light's coming from camera left, so we have to have some sort of gradation here. Otherwise, she'll look like a cartoon, and she definitely isn't a cartoon. And again, this is all setting up for many, many stages ahead, many moves ahead. And we're going to use the eraser to get rid of those training wheels soon enough. This finger, the index finger, is much darker. So I'm going to hit that. Much darker. See how that index finger goes into the shadow of her hair. If I made that index finger the same as the rest of the fingers, it would not work. Because she's in an environment, right? So everything has to relate to this environment, which is great. Oh, is this your normal size? Pretty much. I like working in a head probably between 4 and 8 inches. That's like my sweet spot. I've always worked that size. I've always had small, tiny studios or work areas. When I was a kid, I used to paint on the dining room table after dinner and before dinner. So I kind of feel more comfortable in cramped spaces. So that's why I work small. Not Steve Leahy's small, but I like working on a very human scale, so to speak. But it forces me to have better control, right? I think it does force me to have better control. And now, the stencils do not take place of us tweaking it. And we could come in here with that clavicle. But our next step after this is to come in with the Createx Lifeline colors, which are part of the Bloodline series. And what he does, and Createx does, it has all the different values of flesh, which is really great. So I think it costs you like $71, but even when you're doing your color and painting, this stuff is really going to blow your mind just how good it is and how it's going to free you up to be more creative elsewhere. So people might say, well, you should be mixing those colors. Why if you don't have to, right? Look at all the different subtle variations of skin tones that you can do, and then you can tweak it afterwards, right? So this is really great. And far as oil painting for Airbrush, oh my God, this is really going to send you to such a good beginning for oil paints that it's just going to flow. Flow, flow, flow. And that's what I want for you all. Because you already know how to do this stuff. You work so hard to become airbrush artists, and every one of you here have a great amount of control with this thing, a great amount of knowledge, and why not use it to your advantage, right? You have so much. Okay, so for someone who hasn't picked up an airbrush, you're like an airbrush superstar. And you have to think of that. And then this is just going, and I'm just making your life so much easier, and Createx is making your life so much easier with this Lifeline set. So it's part of the Tim Gore Bloodline, but he came up with the Lifeline set, which is just skin tones. And it's a game changer for me, because anything I don't have to think too much or think less, it frees up creativity. And that's what you want. And that's why I teach everyone to break it down to its simplest form, to free up that creativity. That's what we want. So I'm excited about this. And hopefully the excitement is contagious. Okay, here comes the beginning of getting rid of the training wheels here. Now I'm going to go a little more deeper with this underpainting before I shellac it, and then next week we're going to hit the ground running with the Tim Gore Lifeline. And then from there, exciting, we are going to go ahead and start oils. And I'm going to have a complete list of the best oil paints to get that are the best quality, the best price. Why get sets? You know, how it's important. What's the difference between an opaque, semi-opaque, semi-transparent, and transparent oil paint. So here's a kicker. By working with oil paints, you are going to automatically become a better airbrush artist. That I will bet the farm on, because the way that you use color is just going to free you up and free your thinking when you're using airbrush and color. It really is. Especially with the, with the Wicked line, the detail line, they have very pure pigments that translate really well into oils and back and forth, so that's exciting. So you guys have my email address, paintedglyphs@gmail.com. If you have any questions, if you write me or leave a comment, I will get back to you. So if this is a journey you're thinking of taking, you don't have to take a class by me for me to help you. That's why these live streams are so important, because they're for those who can't take the class or whatever. So, something that I wish I had when I began. Of course, for my art lessons, I had to take a bus, 2 subways, walk 4 city blocks each way. Uphill both ways. But really, I mean, how life has changed, and, since I was a youngster going to art school. So I'm so glad that technology opens up instruction to so many. Again, I'm going to use my freehand shield to cover her spaghetti strap. And now look how that just pops out just so beautifully. And let's do the same to the other side. In the snow, yes, uphill. With one shoe, because I couldn't afford the second, so I had to hop all the way on one foot. And you'd be surprised, how, your shield eventually will just be perfect. Sometimes you have to do part of it perpendicular and not parallel. Best way to go. Reason being is I'm not going to overshoot. So if I'm going perpendicular, I know exactly where I'm spraying. If I'm doing parallel, I'm getting overspray in that direction. And it's just not the best route to go. So definitely. So wow, it's going to be 2 hours already. I can't believe it. This live stream went so quick. I'm so glad such great people are here today. And I'm really enjoying this. And I'm going to make it a weekly thing. So oil painting for airbrush artists on Sunday, and airbrush painting, pure airbrush painting on Wednesday nights at 9:30. Just accentuating. I want to bring her arm forward. See, you can't do this in any other medium. So we have such an advantage over every other medium out there, which is amazing. And we're going to get rid of the superfluous pencil lines pretty soon. There we go. And come back in. And then I'm actually going to come in and do some paintbrush techniques. I got this really good paintbrush set from Michaels. So you don't have to get the expensive set. This is only $5.99 at Michaels. Hobby Lobby, Royal Langnickel. And you can see all the different detail brushes you get with this. And for $5.99 it's great. So if you get to a Hobby Lobby or a Michaels, pick up one of their Royal and Langnickel set. And you know what? It'll last you a couple of months, but it's $5.99. We buy sandwiches, right? That only lasts us a couple of minutes. So that's cool. And Willie says, if I did a third one, what would I do? I'm thinking, Willie, just plain airbrush and India ink. What do you think of that? So just going back to where we started with uh, just pure black and white, doing the celebrities. What do you think of that, sir? Like the old school stuff. Any suggestions would be great too. Oh, good, Willie. That's great. So that's good feedback. Yeah, I want to go back to that. I think that's a good idea because that's the main part of the whole technique. That's the blood and guts, so to speak, of everything is having good airbrush control, and the airbrush India inks do that for us and just simplifies it, and it's cleaner. It's so not messy. uh, Oil paints and working in color, it's very messy. This is just 3 bottles and your airbrush and paper, and it's just a lot of fun. There we go. Okay, so looking at her eye, you just want to do the bottom part of her eye here. She kind of has like Egyptian eyes, which are pretty. Okay, so this finger right here, which is her ring finger, is very much in shadow. So let's make sure and bring that finger in shadow because it's in context. And this is something I just realizing is that we can see the the bottom part of her thumb, or right here as it comes up here. I'll just indicate that. Just see it just slightly, but I think that adds dimension. Yeah, I like that. You can just barely see it, but I think it looks pretty cool. And then her heel of her hand comes out much further, so I kind of cut it off. Observation is always going to keep us on the ball, right? And so yeah, I'm thinking like maybe a Thursday or something. But I don't want to step on anyone's toes who are doing live streams. So I'll figure out, talk to the live streamers and see what works for them and stuff like that. Because, I don't want to create a conflict because you all need to see Steve Leahy and Bill Snagan and Scott McKay, and you all need to see those live streams. So I would hate to get in the way of that because those are important live streams. And a lot of others out there who are doing great live streams as well. So it's been a great live stream. So for the inaugural one, so I'm so glad everyone was here. Thank you, Mike Rushing, for two super chats. That was amazing. So honored. Thanks for supporting the channel, and thank you everybody for hanging out. It is 4:29, soon to be 4:30, the full 2 hours. So Willie, thank you so much for hanging out. Roy, Angela, Cody, Mr. Bill definitely was here, which was great. And Raffin Customs, which I'm always happy to see you. And so that's fantastic. Let's see. Anthony Durkin, making sure I'm getting everyone here. Let's see here. Don't want to miss anybody. I think that's everyone. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. Everyone's important here. Thank you everybody for hanging out, and please hit the subscribe button if you haven't. You'll be alerted to the new live streams coming out, free art lessons. So so great to see you. My pleasure. You all are just super amazing, and I hope to see you real soon.